Well, it's a very grey, cold morning in March, first week in March, but for the first time in what seems like months, it's not blowing a gale and it's not raining. So I've got the duck punt on the trailer, on the back of the car, and we're heading off to the slipway to see if it floats. So that was the rather brief bit of video that I took on the maiden voyage. Most of the time the camera was lying in the bottom of the boat upside down as I struggled and fought to try and control this new boat of mine. I must confess that I returned to the slipway just a little bit deflated and a bit disappointed. I was out for about an hour and a half. I managed to go about half a mile up the river, basically just crashing from one bank to the other, ricocheting like a pinball really. I just couldn't seem to get the hang of the steering, and trying to tack, I just couldn't get the bow through the wind. My only technique was to hit the bank and then try and push myself off the bank with the steering oar to manage another 30 seconds to the other bank, where once again I'd crash. So like I say, I was a bit disappointed, but I've taken a couple of days to think about it, and I watched the little bit of video that I did take, and in actual fact I should be extremely pleased with what that little boat did. The weather wasn't particularly good. There was wind coming directly down the river. Windy said it was about 9 knots. I think that's a little bit optimistic. I'll say more sort of 6 or 7. But there was a brisk breeze, and that was blowing directly down the river. What I didn't realise at the time, but having watched the video I can see now, is that the current on the river was flowing at a brisk walking pace. I should imagine about 4 or 5 miles an hour. The ground here is absolutely saturated with all the rain we've had. The drains of the fens are all running, they're all flooded, they're all running at maximum capacity. And I think this is where I came unstuck. Trying to push the nose of the boat round through the wind is bad enough, but trying to push it through the wind when, like I say, there's a current of about 4 or 5 miles an hour running, that's where the problem was. I thought the boat wasn't pointing particularly well into the wind, and I thought it was making a huge amount of leeway, despite the fact that I was leaning it over on the chine as you're supposed to. But you can see from the video we're actually just being swept downstream. This was even more apparent when I actually got as far as I went. I decided to turn and make a run for home, thinking, oh, nice downwind sail. I couldn't actually turn the boat to go downwind. All we were doing was drifting sideways, and like I say, we were going sideways at a stiff walking pace. When I eventually did get the boat pointing in the right direction, I let go of the sail altogether, and I simply just knelt at the front and used the paddle occasionally to steer us off one bank or the other. Trying to sail, I had no steerage whatsoever, because I think we were running, although we were running at a decent speed, the current was about the same, so there was no steerage way. So I was initially a bit disappointed, but having looked at it, I think everything is actually very good, and I must commend this little boat for actually doing a fantastic job of getting so far upstream, upwind. Next time I'm out, I'm going to make sure that the river isn't in flood, or maybe even go somewhere like Rutland Water and actually try her out in nice light winds on a nice still reservoir, and I shall hopefully get a lot more video from that, and the end result will be hugely better. And on that note, cheers.